on precepting and teaching physician. My name is Tom Van Sagi, and I am STFM's Director of Online Education. Over the next 5 webinar sessions, we will cover topics and challenges that preceptors face and demonstrate an innovative web source, Teaching Physician, available at teachingphysician.org. Today's webinar is titled Getting Your Preceptor to Utilize Teaching Physician, and will be led by myself and Jane Shaw from Alpert Medical School at Brown University. Jane, would you like to say a few things to introduce yourself?
Yes, surely. My name is Jane Shaw, and I am the Family Medicine Clerkship Coordinator for the Alpert Medical School of Brown University here in Providence, Rhode Island. And I'm really happy to be here. Thanks,
Jane. Well, today's webinar will mostly focus on how you can encourage preceptors to use Teaching Physician. At the conclusion of the webinar, we'd be happy to answer questions from you. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on STFM's website at www.stfm.org. Just scroll down to the bottom of the home page and click on the Teaching Physician Webinar Series link to take you to a complete inventory of the webinars in this series. So let's go ahead and get started. So the webinar today is going to have the following objectives. We hope participants will gain a greater appreciation of the value of Teaching Physician, identify advantages of using Teaching Physician, learn about results of a recent Teaching Physician survey, become familiar with one school's, Alpert's Medical School, use of Teaching Physician, be introduced to a new welcome kit, which will be available for all subscribers following the webinar, and identify ways to increase preceptor use of the Teaching Physician's web source. So a little bit about Teaching Physician, and this was covered in the last webinar that we did about 2 weeks ago with Dr. Dixon from KU in Wichita. But Teaching Physician is a subscription-only web resource. It's available at www.teachingphysician.org. You must subscribe, and then you'll get a webinar, or you'll get a login credential, username and password that we will send to you. If you are currently a subscriber and don't have your login information, you can always email us at teachingphysician@stfm.org. So a little bit more about what is Teaching Physician. Well, it's an interactive website for mostly preceptors, but it's also good for faculty, residents, even medical students at teaching medical centers and hospitals, where obviously, preceptors in particular don't necessarily have a lot of access to ongoing professional education, or particularly things that deal with teaching residents and students. And so that's basically what it is, and it's all a web-oriented, web-situated device, so you just have to go online and you have all of the resources available. Like I said, it's mostly a tool for medical students, but there's also some great things on here for residents who also serve as teachers. We have all kinds of sections, and I'll show you, I'll give you a couple of examples, but they're focused on all kinds of topics, such as giving feedback to medical students as a preceptor. And each of our sections also contains videos and quick tips and links to other sites outside of the Teaching Physician site. So here's just a sample of what the web page or the Teaching Physician homepage looks like. You can see the sign-in area here. This is where you would enter your username and your password. And then over here, you can learn about various things about the site itself, becoming a preceptor, registering other preceptors, preceptor resources. So you can see here that every month we actually put together a focus of the month, and this particular focus was on giving feedback. And so this is on the home page, so every time you open up Teaching Physician, you can find the focus of the month. And if you clicked on any of the links, it would take you more into the site a little further, and I'll show you how you get there. You would actually click on the Preceptor Resources tab, and that would take you to opportunities to go to things like giving feedback. So on the giving feedback page, you would actually see quick tips on, like, conducting feedback sessions should be done in private in a relaxed and supportive environment, et cetera, et cetera. So these are really quick tips for preceptors to use, if they're going into a teaching situation and they just want to kind of brush up on something quickly. They might want to stop and check the site for more information. There's also video available as well, and we've actually invested quite a bit of time and resources to create very well done videos that simulate real situations, real learning situations between residents, medical students, preceptors, and others in real medical situations. Then we also have a video library that's available that kind of is an archive for all of our videos that are available on the site. So I'm going to go through really 10 areas. Why should you or why should your preceptors be using Teaching Physician and how you might encourage them to do so. I'll run through all of these, but they are used as a resource for preceptors. CME credits available. It's easy to sign up new preceptors. It's not just for family physicians. It connects medical schools and residency programs to community preceptors. It's useful for residents. There's always revolving information or new information being added. You get automated emails on a monthly basis to remind you about what the focus of the month is or to tell you about new information. New content is the focus of the emails. And finally, it allows programs to meet LCME and ACGME accreditation requirements. So let's just take each of these one at a time. Use as a resource for preceptors. As I mentioned earlier, we know that there are other tools and learning opportunities for preceptors. You may already be offering lectures at your medical center or at your university, but sometimes your preceptors are miles away from your medical center. It's not easy for them to take an afternoon and come in for a day of professional development. And so this makes it really simple, really easy for them. If they have internet access, then they can get on to the site and learn something about teaching and how to be a better instructor. It's a good perk, a good way to recruit new preceptors. I think as you think about how do I recruit and retain good preceptors. Well, this is a good tool to remind them of that we really want to on an ongoing basis. We want to continue to provide you with tools and information about how to be a good preceptors. Obviously, Teaching Physician helps preceptors be better, not necessarily at being better physicians, but certainly being better teachers, and gives them the kinds of real hands-on learning that they might not have otherwise gotten, just in medical school or in their training. And then finally, it just really can help you if you're looking at a well-rounded recruitment, retention, community preceptor program. This is just a really good tool to have in your tool chest. So this is an obvious one. CME credit is available through Teaching Physician. As long as the preceptor or the user is completing quizzes and evaluations, they can earn up to 17.5 CME credits. And these are through the American Academy of Family Physicians. So if you go on the site, you can add you as the program administrator or the administrator of the precepting program at your site. You can add preceptors as you recruit new ones. You can just go to the site and actually you just send an email to us at teachingphysician@stfm.org, and then we will add them to the subscription and then send them an email to activate their password, username, and get them started. And this is something that, on an ongoing basis, we are happy to continue to provide username, password information to subscribers as well. So it's not just for family physicians. Obviously, STFM is an association of family docs, but we think Teaching Physician is actually good for any specialty engaged in teaching. The content is not discipline specific, but really I think it's good for any medical, anyone in medicine who is also engaged in teaching. It connects medical schools and residency programs to community preceptors, obviously just through the constant flow of information available on the site. It's a great way for you to kind of continue to engage with your preceptors. They want to feel like you're doing something for them. So it's a way for you to demonstrate, a thank you. We care about you. We're concerned about you. We want to make sure that you are getting access to resources that you might not otherwise have access to. And so, as you interact regularly with your preceptors, whether that's through email or face-to-face meetings, we really want to encourage you to, bring up teaching position as a resource, something that you're providing as a service to your preceptors. So it's useful for residents as well, and it can be used as part of the Residents as Teachers program. There are sections on the teaching position site that speak specifically to teaching techniques, teaching suggestions for residents in particular. Obviously, this is a group of folks who have just completed their medical school education and haven't had any real experience yet as a teacher, much less even as a practicing physician. That they certainly are ripe for being able to provide them with tools and ideas for how they can be better engaging teachers for the medical students that are on their services or that they're working with on a day-to-day basis. And it also serves as a way to help satisfy ACGME requirements of residency programs. It standardizes the content, and also use of the site can be tracked. So you can actually demonstrate to the ACGME that you've had so many residents actually complete the teaching position training program. And so it's a great way for you to satisfy those requirements. So there's revolving information, and that's basically, and then we also we're constantly sending information out to all subscribers to remind them about the subscription, and hopefully that would encourage them to use it. We are constantly refreshing the information that's out there every month. We actually do add content. We didn't add anything in June or July, but we have plans to continue adding into August and September. But really, the site is about a year old, and so we spent really the first 10 or so months really loading the site, getting it loaded with good content. And so I think now we're going to really take a look at whether or not the content needs to be replaced, updated, refreshed, but we'll definitely be doing that on a regular basis. And around the first day of every month, all subscribers receive an email from us that just highlights a particular topic, a particular area on the site, and then obviously has a link for the preceptor or the resident or whoever's receiving the email to click through and come back to the teaching position site and hopefully encourage them to do a deeper dive and get more information. New content focus is also highlighted in the email. So if we are adding new content, then we are highlighting that in our monthly email. And so we certainly want to ensure that you are aware of what's new so you can kind of check it out. We also, anytime we add content, we also add quick tips on various topics that are interesting and useful for preceptors as well as residents. And I talked about ACGME requirements for residency programs. Well, teaching physician also is a great way to help satisfy requirements for LCME requirements. Specifically, teaching physician's goal is really to help community preceptors and residents become more effective teachers. And secondly, it also documents participation in a professional development activity. And also there are assessment opportunities, quizzes, things like that on the site. So those are both standards that the ACGME is looking to get programs to satisfy, and so this is a great resource to do that. So we just completed a survey, and some of you participating today may have actually taken the survey and sent it back, and we certainly appreciate that. But we completed this in June. We actually launched the survey, sent it in early June, and then closed it in at the end of the month. And our real goal was just to kind of find out more about, how many preceptors are using the site. How many, is this the kind of information that's useful for preceptors? As I mentioned earlier, I mean, we're kind of closing the first year, so it's just helpful to get a better sense of how well we're doing. And so we felt really good about the response rate. There are 12,000 users of Teaching Physician, or people subscribed to Teaching Physician, and we had about 3.1% of those users actually take and complete the survey, which was 365 responses. We were pretty pleased about the information that we found out. I mean, we know now that at least 84%, as the slide indicates, 84% of the respondents indicated that the Teaching Physician does provide the content they need to be more effective instructors. And so that was good news. They also said the biggest thing, the biggest complaint was just lack of time. We know that preceptors are very busy people, obviously engaged in busy practices, and then the idea of taking on medical students that they are then going to be responsible for teaching, is another duty on top of a lot of other obligations. And so the problem is they just don't have a lot of time to log in and check the site for the kind of information that's provided. And so I think it's good for program administrators to know, I mean, that as a subscriber, you may not have a 100% of your preceptors aren't going to go there. They just aren't going to have the time to. But we definitely want to get your help in promoting the site and getting our preceptors to use it. We also know, in terms of I mentioned earlier the click-through, we send the monthly email to all of our subscribers, and of course when they get it, they can read what the focus of the month is and a little bit about what's going on. But we know that recently we checked, and we know that about 23% of those people that opened those emails are actually clicking through back to the Teaching Physician site. And so we feel like that's pretty good. I mean, we know that a national study just published indicates that the mean click-through rate is only 4.2% for healthcare organizations, clicking through from an email back to a home page or something. And so we're doing about 19% better than the national average, and so we feel pretty good about that, and know that the site actually offers really good content that preceptors, if they use it, actually really appreciate. So the bottom line is, and again, the focus of this whole webinar today is on how do we get more use, how do we get more preceptors using it, and we really believe that you're in a great position to help us do that by spreading the word, to promote Teaching Physician, and making sure that your preceptors are, number one, aware that they are that they have a subscription to it, and then number two, that they know how to log in and that they can go there for the kinds of teaching advice and instruction that would help them. So I'm going to turn it over to Jane to kind of talk more about their experience at Alpert Medical School at Brown University.
Okay, hello. At our prior experience with the Teaching Physician before this web resource came to be, we subscribed to the Teaching Physician newsletter for years, and this came out 4 times a year, and we really used this resource to send an email along with the newsletter to our preceptors, just talking to them about current information about the medical school trends, things about the clerkship that we really wanted to communicate to our preceptors. So this newsletter that came out 4 times a year, we really utilized this, and it was really great for us to actually see that this web resource grew out of this, newsletter. So, next slide, please. So in April of 2012, the Alpert Medical School received a grant from the Rhode Island Foundation, And this grant was to promote primary care education. So this was a perfect use of these funds. So the Alpert Medical School paid $1,900 for unlimited access for faculty, mentors, and community faculty. And we signed up family medicine, clerkship physicians, internal medicine, clerkship physicians, pediatric clerkship physicians, surgery clerkship, community health clerkship, doctoring mentors, residents, and hospital physicians. We took this opportunity to have all of the course coordinators from these clerkships and doctoring courses to enroll their community faculty. We in family medicine used the email list from prior quarterly emails for our list. Next slide. So 5 out of 7 clerkships and doctoring courses sent an Excel spreadsheet to Melissa Abwell with the list of faculty members. And this slide just shows you how many faculty in each category that we did sign up. Family medicine, we signed up 201 preceptors, pediatrics, 24 preceptors, surgery, 11 preceptors, internal medicine, 53, community health, 16, doctoring, mentors, and small group leaders, 47, for a total of 349 faculty members. So we really feel like we're getting good use of this web resource for this fee, for this unlimited access for faculty. Next slide. Okay, how do we at Alpert Medical School spread the word? Well, anytime we have a CME event for community faculty, we always make it a point to mention this web resource. We mention the teaching physician, and what a great way to log in and just review teaching concepts. And so we make it a point to always mention at any event that we have. We also, I periodically email our faculty and just to remind them that they are subscribed to this resource, and for them to definitely click on and take a look to see what this month's email has to offer. Another really good way is to add a link to the teaching physician on the health center website or hospital website where these physicians go on, and this is just another good way to promote the teaching physician. So when new preceptors are added to the list, there's an invitation email that is sent out from the teaching physician. And this mentions the school that purchased the subscription. And the faculty just has to click on the link to activate the subscription. So I think the next slide will show us a little bit about what that looks like. This is a sample email from the school that has purchased the subscription. And this email is sent out to the new subscriber. We have purchased a subscription for you to a new web resource. And it just goes on to explain what the site is, and it also goes on to explain that you should be receiving an email from Melissa Abwell, and this email will show you your username and your password, temporary password. And so I think the next slide will just give us an example of, this is an email, the second email that comes from SDFM, that just tells the physician, I just wanted to let you know that Alpert Medical School has purchased a subscription for you to this online resource, talks a little bit about what the resource offers, and it also has the preceptor's username and password. And it also has the information and a phone number and the name of the person to contact if they should lose their username or forget their password. So it's readily available. Next slide. This is an example of a monthly email that comes in. This happens to be the January Precepting Focus, giving feedback, and it just talks about, it just has a, giving feedback is highlighted. This is the Precepting Focus of the month, and so this is an example of just a monthly email that comes in. And it, oh, go ahead. Ways to get preceptors to use the teaching physician. So there are a number of ways that, that one could get your preceptors to use the teaching physician, and one way is to require its use. We have not done this at Alpert Medical School, but I think it might be a really interesting idea for all of those preceptors who are hosting medical students in their practices to require that they go on, you know, X amount of times a year to definitely go on and see what this web resource is all about. So requiring use is one way to do it. Introduce when doing site visits. Every time that we go out to do a site visit, we definitely promote the teaching physician as a perk for hosting medical students. It's a great, we talk about a great way to earn CME credits, and just a really great way to go in and just to refresh how to teach in medical students. And it's, so I always make it a point to talk about when doing site visits. Another really interesting thing to do is incentivize the use. Preceptors who log on the most at the end of the year would receive a prize, and this is something that we have not used at Alpert Medical School, but it's something that we are talking about doing, and I think this might be a really interesting way. And I think, you know, just promoting this, just talking about it, just gives everybody, you know, just more incentive to use it. And then finally, using it in a face-to-face CME session, actually having preceptors come in the evening, offering a little dinner, and then actually showing them this website and what it can do and everything that it offers. So these are some of the ways to get your preceptors to use the teaching physician. Okay, following this webinar, you will receive a welcome kit. It'll be sent to you electronically to all current subscribers of the teaching physician, and the kit will include a copy of, for an email you can send. So this is an example of an email that you can send. We've purchased a subscription for you, and also you will get a copy for your newsletter. So if you have a newsletter, you could add this little copy into your newsletter, just talking about an appreciation for your tireless work of our community preceptors. Your school has subscribed to an innovative web resource, so you can actually put this right into your newsletter. And the kit will also give you a flyer which you can send or give to preceptors. And I know myself, I'll be bringing this to site visits when I go. I think that would be just a really great way to start a conversation about the teaching physician on a site visit. So next. So the kit will include an administrator's guide, which will include instructions on how to use the teaching physician. And the instructions just sort of dissect the site, each section divided into multiple subsections. So it's an easy-to-use guide. The kit will also include an overview of how teaching physicians help meet accreditation requirements, and it'll actually give you specific LCME requirements and how the teaching physician meets each one. So there's actual examples of LCME requirements. In this administrator's guide, there's a section on why use teaching physician, and this will this user guide will elaborate on the fact that to be an effective teacher, a physician needs clinical experience and the right tools to be a teacher. The teaching physician provides faculty with the tools to be more effective, time efficient. So, and what to expect as far as usage, I think Tom really outlined it really well, that we can't expect our preceptors, 100% of our preceptors, to use this site. I think if 10% of our preceptors are using it, I think that is just a really great number, and I think we would be happy, and we are happy with that number. So I think, is that about it?
I think so. I think that brings us to the conclusion of the presentation of our material, and we are now happy to answer some questions about the presentation, about how to get preceptors to use teaching physician, or your experience specifically, Jane, in doing so. I don't see any questions yet in our queue, but I'll pitch one to you, Jane.
Okay.
What do you think, do you have any sense about, you kind of outlined very well the breakdown of the kinds of preceptors that you are providing teaching physician for. Do you have any sense about the usage rate? I mean, do you know how often those individuals at Alpert are actually going on and using the site, or do you have any sense of that?
Well, I haven't checked lately, but the last time I did check, it was not as much as we would have liked. We would like to see more usage. So I think, you know, looking at so many different ways to promote this site, we are going to spend this next upcoming year promoting the site, and any chance that we can, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see if we can get those numbers up. So that's our goal, is to increase the number of preceptors who go in, and I think it's really great that we actually can go in and see who has clicked on, who has done the CME credits, and I think that's just a great resource for us to see. So I'm hoping that with our promotion that we're going to be doing this year, that we definitely increase the number of preceptors looking at this website.
Okay, great. You know, I think I might elaborate a little bit more on the survey that we just completed. I think that it really is enlightening about the kind of feedback that we got. I think was really positive. I think, again, most all of the preceptors that completed the survey indicated that they have either you know, never logged on, or they've only logged on a couple of times. But those who did log on felt pretty positive about the kind of information that's out there. That it's easy to navigate, and to, you know, it's very intuitive kind of resource. So you know, which I think is good. I mean, the information on there is very accurate, and it's very helpful. And I think that we know too that the majority of the preceptors aren't taking advantage of the CME credit that's offered, and so you know, that would be a question, Jane. I mean, are you at all connected to whether or not some of your preceptors have used the site for CME?
Yes, they have, and that's one thing that you can tell by going into the administrative aspect of the website. You can tell which preceptors have completed the CME credits. So, and we have had several preceptors do that. But I think education and getting the word out is the most important thing. I think this just has to be promoted and has to be talked about, and constantly reminding the preceptors that this is just a wonderful resource for them to gain information. And I really love the video, the vignettes. I think those are just wonderful. They're short, and I think they're really to the point. So there's a lot here, very, very rich resource for preceptors in any specialty, and I think that is just a wonderful thing, is that we can, you know, any specialty. It's not family medicine specific. It's to anyone who teaches medical students or residents. So, so I think it's valuable, and we just have to get the word out there.
Another thing that we learned in the survey is that a lot of teaching physician subscribers would be very interested in seeing us offer this on as a mobile app. So that's something we're definitely going to look at. I think that, as we also learned from the survey, most preceptors don't have time to go in, log on, check their, check the actual site on a computer. But we do think that if it were offered a little bit easier through either a tablet or a mobile app, that that might even make that information more accessible. We do have a question. Go ahead, Jane.
Sure.
We do have a question. Are there any plans for offering some sort of faculty development certificate for preceptors who complete each of the quizzes? That's a good question, and at this point we don't have anything in place. But I certainly think that offering a certificate of completion would make sense. One of the things that we're working on at SCFM is to put all of our learning, online learning, onto what's called an LMS, which is a learning management system. And if things are in an LMS, once students or users complete courses or modules, it is very possible for certificates and other kinds of completion documentation pieces to be generated and then emailed to a user. So that is definitely something we're moving toward. Are there any other questions out there? Jane, do you have any other final comments?
No, I just hope that this next upcoming year we will see more usage. And it's really interesting to note that it's only a year old. This is such a new resource, and I think getting the word out is going to be the most important part of this year, and that's my goal, is to get more of our preceptors to use the teaching physician.
Well, that's great. And Jane, I certainly want to thank you for a great job that you did with today's topic, and you were great about helping prepare some of the materials and then certainly answering questions as well. And I want to thank all of you, too, out there for joining us today for SDFM's second webinar on precepting and teaching physician. At the conclusion of the webinar, you should receive an email with an evaluation, and we certainly hope you'll take a few minutes to complete it and return it to us. We definitely want to know how we might be able to improve these webinars in the future. This webinar will also be available tomorrow to view, and you can certainly view it yourself or send it to others to take a look at as well. Finally, we hope you will join us for our next webinar, which is scheduled for Thursday, August the 8th, from noon until 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. The topic for that webinar will be providing feedback to students and residents, and it will be led by Dr. Randy Clinch from Wake Forest School of Medicine. And that's really going to be the first of 4 webinars in the final stretch of our webinar series that will really be focused on topics that preceptors can directly utilize in their teaching practices. So please check the SCFM website for a complete schedule of our webinars or to sign up for one of the 4 remaining sessions. Again, just go to www.stfm.org, and it's all right there at the bottom of the home page. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.